Okay, this is so disturbing. What is going
It's you.
on?
This is you, Amy. Must I move
I
out the
don't.
way here? Let me show you.
You show me.
Okay. This is us when we went on an Elden Ring adventure.
Not edited. Haters will say it was edited.
They will, but I don't think they've seen your fingers.
I like
It's exactly
how
like that.
I like how I'm pretty much like defended against everything, but I had to wear a mask for this adventure.
Yeah. You were very conscious about, I don't know, the fumes. I don't know what's happening there in Elden Ring. I was also, Jimmy, I'm also wearing a thing here, just in
Yeah,
case.
I
But
mean it
mine's
was
more
like
more protecting my identity. I don't know what you're doing, dude.
yeah, I think mine was because we had to go through like confined spaces on this
Sure.
adventure, and
You,
I just
yeah.
don't like smelling people so closely.
Okay.
Like actually, I'm not joking when I say that I don't like the smell of people's hair, even if it's like super clean.
People's hair.
Yeah, it's like this weird thing. If I smell someone's hair, especially women's hair, like even if it's particularly if it's freshly washed, I really don't like it. It's
Are you
too
just
much.
gonna
Then
like
we're
edit
too
this out
close.
when you show everybody because this is hella
No,
weird, dude?
I need
I don't like the smell of people's
no.
hair. How often are you going around sniffing the back of people's heads, Chloe? Like
You
let's
know,
let's
you
uncover the real truth here. Like how often are you sniffing people's heads?
if
That's
someone
weird,
walks
dude.
past me and I smell their hair, they're too close. Like that's
Like
too intimate for me. I don't like that. No,
just when they're
it
walking
if
by.
if someone's like past you, I'm just like ugh,
I can't do
rough.
that.
Yeah, you fine. You fine.
Thanks.
That's why we get on so well. I never have to smell your hair. Um,
That's so weird.
yeah, this is very strange. I might cut this out, but maybe not. Maybe I won't. See how I feel.
YOLO.
Okay, Chom, thank you
Hmm.
so much for agreeing to do this. I
Thank
really
you for having
appreciate
me.
it. I know that you are busy. And I know, I mean, we've done this before. It just didn't see the light of day. And it might see the light of day sometime. So for that reason, I'm not going to repeat anything we said on that previous podcast. But
Cool.
we had such a good chat, and I was kind of bummed that we never, it never got published.
Yeah, that was alright.
So yeah, it was so
No, it
good.
was cool.
It
It
was
was a
so
really cool
good.
conversation. It was great because we
Yeah,
didn't know when to end. Like it just kept on going, and the editor was just
yeah,
sitting there like, "Okay, guys, it's I
yeah,
gotta wrap up and close the office.
yeah.
Guys have been here for
He was
3 days now."
he was like, go for about 40 minutes, and then after an hour and a half, we're like, holy smokes. Okay, I guess we should. This is shot it, Shanice. Shot it, please. I've
Shut
had that
it.
in my head. I've had that
You're
in my head
yapping
the
like a
whole day, and
rot.
we had a like a rat. Your mouth is moving a lot like a rat. Shut
It's
it,
the best.
please.
Sorry, tell me your story now.
No, so we had someone here just now, and I had that on repeat in my brain, and I just kept saying it out loud. And I was like, listen, actually, I'm so sorry that I keep saying this. She was like, oh, I thought you were on the phone. I'm
Excuse
like,
my
what kind
daughter. She's from South Africa.
of. I'm very strange. Just know this from here on out. Don't ask any questions.
Yeah, don't
Um,
yappa either.
I know. I was like, I wonder what kind of conversation she thought I was having that I was saying, shut it, please, over and over again.
That is so great. You should just carry on with that, like never stop. It should just be like part of your normal conversation. Just somewhere in your conversation, you just drop it while somebody's talking, and then you don't react. Like you don't react at all.
Yeah.
You just carry on.
So
Say sorry. Yeah, you were saying why?
Yeah,
Why?
so my uncle does this as a social experiment. It's getting silly. um,
It didn't take very long. 4 minutes in, we made it.
yeah, no. So he does this as a social experiment. I haven't seen him for a long time, but the last time I saw him at a braai or like at a get together, he would just say the most random. It would normally be like a sweary of some sort, like a swear word or a vulgarity of some sort.
Do you just call that a
That he
sweary?
A sweary, yeah, a no word. He would just like chuck it into conversation, but because makes it super normal and puts it into the middle of a sentence and doesn't react, no one notices. So he
That's
would
so great.
genuinely throw in like a vulgarity, something you could never say in front of whoever he's speaking to, and then he would just be deadpan. And they would like pause for a split second and then they're like, no, he's not reacting. So it can't have been anything. I must be absolutely cooked,
That is the
you
best.
know?
We
Yeah.
did. I've got like this. One of my best mates. His name's Devin. He went to school with me, and we just get up to so much shit. But one of the things we used to do a lot is we used to just make up words and include it in a sentence. And because we're together, we just carry on. And then people would like. It's so funny though because like people agree with what you're saying, even though you've made shit up. Like you've made up a name, you've made up a word, something,
Yeah.
and they're just like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. I agree with that. Yeah, you're like, it's
Doesn't it show?
interesting.
Do you though? Do you
Mm.
agree?
Have you seen that
Um,
like TikTok where this guy like makes up a joke and then somebody laughs and he says, "Explain it."
yeah,
It's like, "Explain it to me." The guy's like, "Oh,
I'm
I don't know."
yeah, I'm always scared people are testing me. So if they're like, "Oh, have you seen the movie Plant Friends
Well, now I
and
know
the
you've made that up
Cat?"
because that did not roll off the tongue. Plant
That's
friends and
that's a
cat.
movie I was trying to remember.
Yeah, I forgot that's how you
Have you
remember
seen?
things.
Yeah, they'll be like, "Have you seen the movie Plant Friends and Cat?" And I'm always just like, "No, actually, no, no," because I'm scared that they're like, "Oh, have you? What did you think of it?
Well, why
What
don't you
did you
just answer
think?"
honestly and be like, "No, I haven't seen it."
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes I think I'm just gonna get what they're saying later on, so I'm just like, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Like the other day, I was having a conversation and someone was like, like the blue zones, and I was like, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
of course I do. I know the blue
Duh.
zones. And he was like, do you know what the blue zones are? And I was like, um, I was just like, I was waiting for you to carry on talking about the blue zones in case I knew what they were, and then I wouldn't have to like stop you and ask you to explain, what the blue
That's
zones
such a
are.
good way of doing it.
I thought
I
I
didn't
would
want to
just pick up
interrupt
on what
the.
you were talking about,
Yeah, I didn't want to
later
interrupt
on.
the
Like,
conversation. Clever. That's very clever. I like that.
yeah, which is actually kind of the truth. I'm like, maybe I will. I mean, it is the truth, but also I didn't want this person to think I was dof. So
I love how
I
much you're
just
just
think
talking
like,
about how much you lie in conversations. Like, yeah, I've seen cat dog implants. Oh, blue zones, my favorite kind of zones.
get like the blue zones, you get like the green ones.
Yeah, I'm sure
Do you
there's
know what
different colors.
a blue
No,
zone
I have
is?
no idea. You can inform me though.
Okay. It's like where people live really long.
Like in their bodies. Like, do you mean like geographical locations? This is where people live the
Yes.
longest.
Yeah, what do you
What?
mean in your bodies? Like I live in
Like,
my shoulders the longest. Like what?
yeah. My nose grows
Yeah.
continuously and my fingernails even after I die. Did you know
Apparently
that?
that's true, yeah.
That is true.
Apparently that
That's
is
why
true.
they built the
Yeah.
pyramids like that, so their nose can grow all the way to the roof.
Okay, Bam. I need to introduce you.
Allow me to introduce myself. Okay, do it. I want to hear it.
Okay, no.
What
Okay,
did you
so
write?
Bumfluffski,
Yes.
I did not write anything. I was actually just gonna go to your Twitter bio and read your bio, but I feel like you're a little humble.
Yeah, very.
You're actually pretty humble. Like I feel like there's so much more to it than
I'm like
along
the
with
most
everyone in
humble
the whole
person I know,
world.
I think. Like the most
You
humble.
are though. You
Yeah,
are, to
like
be
more
fair.
than anybody else, by far.
Okay, it's getting unhumble now. Yeah, Time Magazine's Person of the Year 2006, along with about 8 billion odd others. I think
Mm.
there's a little more to it than that. So I'm going to let you tell us. I obviously know I've had the misfortune of knowing you for about five
Wow.
years, 6 years.
Cool, good chat.
Um,
This
okay,
is,
bye.
I feel so welcome here. Yeah. I just want to hear this again.
um,
I mean, just.
you started on this foot with this attitude.
Yeah, this is my fault. You're right. I apologize. Okay, so
Um,
me.
yeah.
My name is Bumfluffski. It's my government name. I I was like in corporate and stuff, doing accounting and boring things. Shout out to accountants that are doing boring things. I think if you think it's great, it's cool. Yeah, they're not in the army, Chloe. Just pick
Sorry,
up a
it's not
pencil and a piece of paper
respectful.
or something. Um, and I think I've always been like in
Accounting
the
salute.
yeah. The reason I got into like kind of content creation was I needed a space. Like myself and my brother used to always watch videos together. We used to play games together. He used to watch me play games. When you give your like sibling a controller that's not plugged in, like that was my brother. So he just think he's playing games, and it was just me. And then I moved out of the house, I wanted something where he could continue watching. So I started like a little blog where I was uploading videos and a whole bunch of things. And then I moved into the streaming thing, and like that was why I started, was just to find a space where I could kind of reconnect with my brother, where we could watch content and stuff together. So that's how I got into the content creation space. Thank you so much for asking that. I don't know what else to talk about for myself. I have been in the game from like 2016. I'm all over social media, I guess. Like I do content creator business coaching, which has been a
Mm-hmm.
really cool thing. From my CA background, I do a lot of business coaching, particularly in like tech startups and stuff like that. And that has been really, really cool. But moving it into the content creator space where there's such a lack of business acumen, it's just been a really, really cool way of finding how to make the space more professional, how to get talent to make money, like sustainably, like build a business around their brand sort of thing. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. That's been a lot of fun. Yeah, I don't know if I've answered your question. I feel like I just said a whole bunch of things.
Yeah, I mean that answers the question. I think for people who might not be familiar, you stream, which is obviously a good anchor in the content creation space. That's it's actually the first time I've ever referred to streaming as an anchor, but I think that's probably my personal best understanding of why streaming is important for content creators, or why it's valuable for content creators. And that's how we became acquainted. I actually don't remember our very first interaction, but you had been in the content creator streaming space for quite a while. And then I was like the new kid on the block about 5, 6 years ago. And yeah, we kind of met through, I don't know if it was Twitch or Twitter.
I think it
And we
was
used
actually
to,
Facebook. I think I was watching you on Facebook. That's where you first
oh, no
started,
ways.
I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Yeah.
I did start on Facebook gaming. I sometimes forget about that part of my story. I was kind of like multi-streaming to Facebook and YouTube and
Mm.
Twitch. And then I was
Oh,
like,
naughty, naughty.
I know. And then I was like, no, I don't want to. I want to like kind of take Twitch seriously, you know. So I stopped streaming on Facebook and YouTube. But yeah, it must have been Facebook where
Mm.
we first
We were all
interacted.
using
I
our real
was,
names. It was
I
super
know.
weird.
That's kind of what I found to be difficult with Facebook gaming. I don't think viewers like to have their real names in chat and to sort of communicate as themselves.
I agree. I feel like Facebook. I mean, they're pulling away their gaming side now, like all the streaming
Yeah.
stuff. But I feel like that's
Hmm.
where they lost it. It's like they could have just given people the option to use a username and like lock in a username.
Yeah, yeah,
Instead, you had to like create a page and this and that, and yeah, that just points away from interaction. It like makes it so hard
yeah,
for a user to interact with you the way that they want to.
yeah, exactly, exactly. We like a bit of trolling, a little bit.
Sure. I
Yeah,
don't know what that is. I never do that.
yeah, not number one shit poster over here. You actually
No, no.
aren't though. To be fair, you are very much a shit poster personality.
Wow.
Um,
Thanks.
so
I
so
feel like that's
nice. A
way
good
worse.
thing.
Kind of a shit
But you are.
person, but online you act nice, so that's cool.
That's not what it means. You're a memer. Let's
You
say
write this
memer
down.
for anyone who doesn't know what a shit poster is. You're a memer. You've got a good sense of humor, but you are. I think like you're more serious on Twitter or X than you are on Instagram, for example.
Mm.
Um, and I think that's something I've noticed, like a growth in your, or like a character development of yours, where there were lots of things that are kind of there are lots of discourses that occur on Twitter, and not necessarily Instagram isn't as open when it comes to discourse, but a lot of these discourses that need attention, and you've definitely been like a prominent voice in these discourses that occur on Twitter. And that's kind of why I love Twitter. It's because it is so much more interactive than these visual social medias like Instagram, for example. Instagram is great for visuals, but Twitter, you get more reach, your voice goes further, you can really engage and have a proper conversation. Of course, limited by the fact that you can't tell tone through, text. But why do you think it's been so important for you to get involved in these conversations on Twitter? Firstly, if you can give a bit of background on what things are important to you in terms of raising your voice and why you think it's important.
Um, Jesus, a really good question. I think that through kind of taking a stand for shit behavior, like I kind of got recognized as this person that the disciplinarian or something, or somebody that they call in and go, hey, this person's being cuck. That was never my
Mm-hmm.
intention, but I realized that I might be a voice for somebody else, like when people don't have that voice where they can speak for themselves, maybe they've got a low view account or whatever it is. It seems like I can, because I've got that influence, because people have entrusted me with this, kind of given me this status. I want to use it for good things, So um, that's one. The other is that I'm a straight white male, which means that weirdly, in this stupid world that we're in right now, it's got a much more powerful, much more listened to voice than most other genders, sexualities, um, or races, which is so stupidly ridiculous to me. But I make a point to point out how ridiculous that is, right? I feel like if people are going to listen to me, I want to say the right things. I want to
Mm-hmm.
represent the right people, and I want to speak my truth. I always say that I don't want my opinion to become other people's opinions, but I'm also going to voice the things that I truly believe in. So I think as I've grown over time, I just want to continuously be vocal about those important matters.
Mm-hmm.
Just remind people, representation is really important. Like cutting people out of things because of a race or their gender or their sexuality is a really stupid thing. Like everybody's just people. Like it's really, really.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe to me, like I try and treat everything really simply and go, "That's really dumb." like
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I don't know. I think Twitter just gives me that place where I can have a bit of a voice that people listen to, and maybe I don't try and influence people to believe in the same things as me. I welcome discourse as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when we debate, we both grow. In an argument, only one side grows because you're just constantly trying to win and you're never listening to the other side. So I welcome a debate. I welcome being corrected. Every time I'm corrected, my thoughts and my stance becomes stronger. So I welcome those corrections. And I think that's
Yeah.
what's really helped me because I learn a lot through these debates with other people. And I think if I stay silent, then I don't learn anything. Like I just read
Yeah.
everybody's opinions and I take people's opinions without challenging them. So
Mm-hmm.
I think mostly if I like really pull it back, it's probably because I like a good debate. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm
What is
annoying.
the Am I annoying?
Yes, I am.
What do you think the hallmark is of what differentiates a good debate, or a fair conversation from an argument?
I think if you are having a conversation where you're just trying to be better than the other person the whole time, when it's not about what you're talking about, you're like belittling somebody, you're trying to like knowledge stomp them. or
Mhm.
trying to, like when you start nitpicking on spelling or something like that, I feel like there's the wrong emotion going into that. Like, when you're arguing with somebody because you get
Yeah.
emotional about it, you push your screen until it goes black, like your
Yeah.
knuckles go white. You don't need to have that conversation with somebody on the internet. You can just have
Yeah.
an honest conversation. And
Yeah.
I think what's helped me a lot is like two techniques I always do. One is cold collecting. So if I'm going to have a conversation with somebody, I go into their profile and I just learn who I'm talking to. So what are their other tweets that they're doing? What are they liking? What are they responding to? How they're responding to people? Are they looking for cuck? If they're looking for cuck, then I'm not going to respond to this
Mhm.
person. But if it looks like somebody that engages in conversations, and they look like a pretty down the line person, then I'll be like, okay, cool, let's have a conversation. And I'll always the second thing I do is I always listen first. So when they say
Mhm.
something and it's valid, I'll tell them that it's valid. I won't just go, yeah, but this. Like, no,
Yeah.
no, no. It's going, that's a really, really good point. What do you think about this, though? And like get their opinion
Mhm.
on it. When you ask them a question that's not belittling, you're going to get an honest response. You're not going to, when you evoke emotion with emotion, then it turns into an argument and then nobody wins. You just both go to sleep wishing, you have that conversation in the shower. You're like, oh, I should have said this. Like, that's an
Yeah.
argument. You don't need to have
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, I always feel better when I don't get involved. It doesn't like, I mean, that's kind of like a loaded thing to say as well, because sometimes, it's necessary to get involved in something. But I try to avoid letting online stuff leak into my life, which of course it does. Of course, it affects me. It affects all of us every day, and to some extent or the other. But I try to like avoid as much as possible online stuff affecting
Yeah.
my IRL,
I think it's
you know?
important. I think it's very
Yeah.
important. And it's such a good reminder because I preach it so much as well when I say, like, tidy up your timeline, interact with the content
Yes.
you want to see more of. Twitter, for one, or X, it doesn't, when you interact with something, when you open a post, when you go to that person's profile or you search for them, or, your reading time on any of their stuff, Twitter goes, oh, this person's keeping Chloe on the platform. I'm going to show them more stuff like this. And
Yes,
I
yes.
always see those things like, oh, Twitter's so toxic. Oh, everybody's just doing this and that. And I go, no, no, no. That's what you
Mhm.
view. That's what you're engaging with. Like if you go to your For You page and you don't know and you don't like what you're seeing, your For You page is literally telling you what Twitter thinks you
Yeah.
want to
It's
see.
like, "Oh, Twitter's full of chicks in bikinis, man. Oh, it's so
Yeah.
annoying.
Yeah.
Why is
Yeah. And
that
I'm like,
happening to me?"
yeah, that's so weird. Yeah,
I don't
no.
know. That's
Yeah,
what
so
Twitter
people
is. I
need.
haven't seen anything else.
I love seeing posts like that, and I'm like, I don't see what you're talking about. So it's clearly a personalized thing. But I
Yeah.
think that people really need to be more intentional about what they interact with. Like on Twitter, if you like something, go all out to teach Twitter to send you more of that stuff.
Yeah.
Bookmark that tweet, retweet it, comment, share it, tell that person what you like about it, click on their profile,
Mm.
scroll through their stuff. Like all of those are positive indicators telling Twitter, I want to see more of this stuff. And then they'll show you more content like it. Every single
Yeah.
platform works exactly the same.
Mm. Yo, so this is really deep, but I often think of your algorithm as like the way you think as well. So the more you think about, the more you engage with stuff, the more is presented to you, right? And if you think of that in terms of like quantum thinking and stuff, it's so deep.
No, I
But
love this. Yeah,
is it not like kind of the same thing? Like the more
it
things you
is.
engage with, the more of that is presented to you, or the more your subconscious notices, depending on what like school of thought you're in. Like if you're a scientific thinker, you know,
Yeah,
the
100%.
more the more you think about like red cars, the more red cars you see, kind of vibe.
Is exactly the example I was going to give you as well. Like when you're looking for a car, all of a sudden you see it everywhere.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
in my mind. I mean, I can't confirm this, but in my mind, if I was designing an algorithm, I would design it the same way that the human thinks, because what you're
yeah,
trying to do is make thinking easy. You're trying
yes,
to take the search away from people so they spend more time just consuming the stuff they want to see. So if
yeah,
you take part of that process and you cover it, then you're doing your job as an algorithm. So why
Yeah.
wouldn't the algorithm be functioning as a part of your brain? It only
It
makes sense,
honestly,
right?
it makes so much sense. It honestly makes me think of this like, oh my gosh, I did not want to get into this conversation, but like when quantum thought meets technology, like what algorithms and stuff are doing, does that not prove, is that not proof of a simulation?
Yeah, I love this conversation. I think it's so deep. This really feels like a 1 o'clock in the morning Bri conversation.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. Like there's when you go down to the coding of like thought and the coding
Mm,
of human life, there's a lot of corrective codings that you can find, and there's a lot of things that happen that do make you question this whole like, are we in a simulation thing? And I love the
yeah.
conversation because the one thing that continuously like makes it a reality for me or makes it like very, very real is that like we look at VR now and you pull on a headset and you go, wow, this is pretty advanced, like this looks really cool. What if that was made 1 million years ago? What if it was made 1,000 years ago? Where would we be now? Like
Yeah.
we'd be pretty much where we are now, right? So it's like
Yeah.
it is quite crazy. Like there's a lot of those things where you think like, I don't know, deja vu is another one. Like deja
Yeah.
vu for me is like, oh, maybe I
Like a
saw this in the
little
trailer.
glitch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they repeated the code here. So,
Yeah.
deja vu is interesting, but what I believe deja vu to be is that your brain is just perceiving something twice, you
Yeah.
know? Which
Yeah.
actually kind of proves what you just said, to be honest. I'm
Yeah.
like, but why would
We'll
it
just
do
say the same
that?
thing two different ways. It'll resonate with two different types of people, I
I
guess.
was like, I was like, no, it's completely scientific. Listen to this. Oh, oh,
Yeah, it is. It's really interesting. Like it's such an interesting conversation, and I think it's one that, I mean, it's a rabbit hole really, because
yeah.
if you dive into this whole like, what if we're in a simulation thing, then um, what I want to ask back, like if I can turn to
Hmm.
podcast host quick, what if it
Yes.
was a simulation? Would it change your life? Like if you found out about it being a simulation?
Um. Yeah, I've heard this question asked before, and it is a good question, but I think it would encourage us to maybe take things less seriously.
Yes. Yeah. Big
Like you're
time.
not something that ironically is kind of comforting for me is to know that I'm not like precious to, like we all are, but at the same time none of us are,
Mm.
like anything can happen to you, the universe goes on, the world carries on,
Yeah.
for a lot of, it would affect people, and it would be hugely emotional for a few people, maybe a lot of people, depending on how much of an effect your life has. But that thought to me is very comforting to know, I like literally there could be a tsunami, a natural disaster that wipes all of us out, and that's that.
Or the sun could
The
come out in England,
Yeah.
like a natural disaster.
Yeah,
Crazy.
and if you're a vampire, it's gonna be hectic. So anything
No,
can
I
happen.
agree. I like that way of
Yeah.
thinking as well, because it's like the world can carry on without you being there. Like you want to leave enough of an impact, but you don't want
Yeah.
the consequences of impact to be that everything stops.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like I think the thing that it kind of makes me think is nothing that you're so like agonizing over. Like sometimes I agonize over decisions, like should I do this, should I do that, should I go there, should I go here? As if all your decisions are so monumental. Like they're not that crazy. It doesn't matter whether you wear like red or pink today. It's not going to change anything.
I
Maybe
was
it's a
going to
little
wear
bit
one of my
like
shirts that you
nihilistic.
always. I was going to wear one of those shirts that you always mock me about, and then I was like, maybe I shouldn't. So I did make a decision. I
That
was
changes
literally just going. I
everything.
haven't worn it since you last cucked me out about it, so I don't even know if it fits.
do you know? Do you know at Comic Con I was gonna do a cosplay? I think someone told you I was gonna do a Bumfluffski cosplay.
I was sitting in your chat the entire time while you're talking about this thing. You're like,
We were
don't
talking.
tell him while I'm on the internet. I don't know why you whispered into your mic like I would. No,
Like you're
I
not
won't
gonna
hear.
hear if I whisper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of wish I did that now, to be honest. I think it would have been such a vibe. But I was
I
like, I
did
know
interrupt
exactly
your
the top.
conversation though.
What
Oh,
were we just
sorry.
talking about?
Yes, yeah. You're saying about
Yeah,
it being nihilistic.
yeah. Maybe it's a bit nihilistic to think like that, but I think it is helpful to know, for me personally, um, it's helpful for me to think like that,
I
you
think
know?
like what always I actually had a conversation probably about 2 hours ago with one of my clients where they were an eye and off over like a decision, and I just said to him like, how many decisions have you made in your life? Like, to not make a decision is a decision already, but I
Yes.
just said like all the bad things, all those decisions you made before, all the things you regret has come to this exact moment now where you and I sit on a
Mhm.
call talking about a podcast and having a fat laugh. I don't think
Mhm.
those things could have been that bad then. If they all contributed towards this moment right here, I'm happy they happened.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
Very
it's not
true.
it's not so much about the decision, but the reaction. You'll always make the
Yes.
decision correct. You'll either adjust or amplify, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly, exactly. It is really about your reaction because inherently, if you do follow that line of thinking, nothing is inherently good or bad. And I know that's like such a crazy thing to think, especially when someone is like emotionally attached to something happening or like myself, of course, like I have things that I definitely perceive to be bad, but it's bad for something and good for another thing. It's like nothing is inherently good or bad. It's just your reaction to it, right?
Yeah, it's your perception. But I mean, like getting your foot taken off by a motorbike or something still cuck.
Yeah,
It's
like
like it's still
yeah,
pretty
like
bad.
no
You
doubt,
know what I
no
mean? Like
doubt. I
there's
would
there's
probably
lots of those things. Like we're not saying that there aren't bad things that happen. Like there's a lot of bad
yeah.
things in the world as well, but there's also a lot of positives that come out of bad. I feel like as a
Yeah,
human
yeah.
race, we can't deny lessons. Like we can't deny
Mm,
learning stuff from bad things. Like whenever something bad
yeah.
happens, there's like you look at the like we won't go into politics, but you look at the wars and stuff happening in the world. There's so much more unity
Mm,
than there is this opposition, right? And that's such a
mm-hmm,
beautiful thing. Like it's so beautiful to see like-minded people come together and support each other. And that's how I feel like every bad situation is. Like there's always something positive that comes out of it. There's always a lesson. There's always something that you probably won't do again. You probably put things in place to make sure things don't happen like that again. There's so many different
mm-hmm.
things that come out of it.
Yeah. I think the lesson thing, it's like, when you really want something, you want something to work out for you, or to like get a job, a certain thing, you don't get it. And someone's like, well, there's a lesson to be learned from this. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't want the
I don't need to
lesson.
hear that.
I want the
Yeah,
job.
yeah. Yeah, 100%. It's not a nice thing to be going around and telling people, "Oh
Yeah,
no, you just got
yeah.
hit by a car." There's a lesson. Like
Yeah, there's a
maybe next
lesson,
time
something to be.
don't walk. Like, cool, good lesson, but right now I
Don't
need
go
to fix my
outside.
legs. Yeah, yeah,
Just don't
not
leave your
the, yeah,
house, honestly.
yeah. Just don't. That's also really good advice.
um, so Ben Fluffski,
Mm.
let's chat about being a dad.
Oh
So
man.
you recently had a little Ben, a small horizontal human. I'm guessing he's like 7 months old now. Hey,
Yes, just
so
going.
he
He'll be 7 months on the 5th of Feb.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So he is still horizontal.
Yes,
Yeah. How has that been? What's it
man.
like being a
I
dad?
It's honestly the best thing in the world. Like I'm just completely obsessed, and I keep on saying it whenever I speak about my son. I just want to go to him. Like I just want to drop everything that's happening, and I want to go to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's so many things that just happen. Like when he was born, my priorities just like pulled in line. You realize what's
Mhm.
important and what's not important. I don't think I had that before.
Mhm.
And just this, like the most crazy thing is like this. like there's a love that you've got of something that you know absolutely nothing about. Like the first time
Mhm.
I held him, I was just like, I would die for this little flesh puppy. Like I don't know what's going on around me. I don't know, like whatever happens, like I'm protecting this thing now, and I will do it with my
Yeah.
entire life. Like you know
Yeah.
nothing about it. It's still
Yeah.
covered in gross things. You're like, I still love it. Still kiss this thing. Yeah. So like, I don't know. It's honestly, it's just been the best thing in the world.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it's I love it. I love it so much. He's so
So
flippin' cute. And his favorite thing right now is to growl, which is amazing. It's so funny. But in the middle of the night, it's completely terrifying. Just hearing these growls come from a child's room while there's like kids' music playing. It's not great. but, but it's funny.
he's so cute. It's funny because Dan Engine Mode, I had a chat with him the other day as well, and he said exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing. Like you suddenly realize what's important.
Mhm.
And
It's
like
it's
all the
crazy
things
the
you
clarity.
thought were important before are not the things that are important when you are a dad.
Yeah, it's really something I can't put my finger on. Like, there's so many parents that explain it to you. There's so many parents that explain how amazing it is, and like how
Mm-hmm.
incredible it is, and the feelings, and this and that, and watching them grow, and like so many people can explain it to you, but it does not touch the sides of when it actually
Mm-hmm.
happens. Like it's just like it's really unexplainable, and in the same breath, it's not for everybody either. Like I feel like. What I'm experiencing is really good for me. It might not be
Mm-hmm.
good for people that don't want children. Like I'm not telling people go out there and have children and see how incredible it is because it might not be the same experience for you. But for me, this is my
Yeah.
experience. You know.
Yeah. What's been surprising to you about fatherhood? Like what has been most surprising? You obviously expected something. What has surprised you?
Um, I think I want to. I don't want to make other parents angry in saying this, but I feel like it's been quite easy,
Mm-hmm.
and like I think there's a lot of factors why I find it easy. One is that I've got chronic fatigue syndrome, so I hardly sleep anyways. So if like
Mm-hmm.
that's what people are battling with the most, I'm like been there, done that, had that since 2021. So I've been
Yeah.
training. Changing nappies, I thought was going to be horrific, and it's
Yeah.
actually one of the coolest experiences because you just sit there laughing. Well, he laughs at me when he makes like a stinky poo, like he knows, and then he'll just sit there laughing and growling. But it's such a funny
Growling.
experience, and like, yeah, we just have like the best time. I think like, um, I, I don't know. I think it just makes you feel important, and there was obviously there's people in your life and stuff that make you feel important. My wife, she does
Mm.
the best. I've got such great friends and family and everything, but nothing makes you feel quite as important as your own blood going like, I rely on you. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
keep me alive now. Like you feel
Yeah.
really important. And like there's like this weird acknowledgement as well. Like if there's something that like if he doesn't want to get changed, like after a bath, like I'll go and put some cream on and like put him in his pajamas and he wants to stay naked, like the whole time. Don't know where he gets it from, maybe
Freedom.
his dad. So like I'll put like clothes in and he'll howl, like absolutely howl, and then after you do it he's like, yeah, cool, thanks, this is actually quite comfortable, and like then he's
It's
just happy.
fine.
Yeah, so it's cool to see like this baby just like acknowledge your efforts and like kind of validate what you're doing, because I think as a first time parent you don't know if you're doing anything right. Like we
Mm-hmm.
fed him solids for the first time. I think we're like almost a month into feeding him solids, and like you think you're killing your baby. You're just like, this baby's choking, and there's a rule: if it's red, that's okay. He'll figure it out. If he starts going blue, then you've got a problem. So I'm like, every time like he starts like coughing, I'm like, stay red, stay red, stay red, Ben. you know? But you think you're killing your kid, and then he like coughs, and then he just smiles because he's like, that was actually delicious. Thank you. I just didn't know
Yeah.
how to swallow.
It's quite like babies are pretty like relatively resilient. I think a lot of people
Dude.
think babies are like glass. And people I see online, obviously, like, people online will comment on a pregnant woman doing something. Like I've seen this video where this pregnant woman sucks in her belly and it makes her look not pregnant. And everyone's like, oh my gosh. Not everyone, but a few people, you can't do that. It's hurting the baby. And it's like, the baby's like in a sensory deprivation tank right now. Like,
Doesn't
it's got
even know.
shock absorption for days.
It's pretty
Like,
comfortable.
they're literally
Yeah.
designed to be pretty hardy, right?
They are. They're super super resilient. Like whenever somebody like would offer me to hold their baby, and they're like, "Oh, hold my kid," and I'd be like, "Looks like a
Mm.
bit of a sweet potato. Like I don't really have any any inkling towards holding your fragile little baby." I'd always be scared that I was going to hurt it. Right? Like I'm not a
Yeah.
small human. I'm scared that like maybe I grip him a little bit too hard or something. With Ben, I can pick him up by his fingers, man, and he's just
Yeah.
like so happy. Like
Yeah.
you realize how resilient babies are. They really are. Like the only
Yeah.
design flaw I think they've got is that little
Design flaw.
soft spot on their head. I'm
Yeah, the
like, dude, come.
fontanelle, right?
I'm like,
Yeah.
come. Yeah, that's for like 2-3 years or something. I think stays open. I'm like, bro,
Really?
that's like, can't we make like a little helmet which has like straps and just this little,
Yeah, just like a
you know,
cap. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, not the whole
It
head, just that little spot. Like it's a
like a
fundamental
lid.
design flaw for me. That's literally his brain, and you can see it move.
I know. I
Just
know
kind of
you can
weird.
see it, like the blood pumping and stuff. It's quite hectic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's quite
No,
strange.
that
That's the
is
only
definitely
design flaw
a
for me.
it is a design flaw, definitely. Why do you think it was it? why do you think why do you think that part doesn't develop until, obviously because they need to be given birth to, right? So that their head needs to be malleable.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
so I think that definitely helps, and then it's also like a pressure relief thing as well, because it's got
Yeah.
space for something to move into. I guess
Yeah,
when with birth and stuff, but 2 years is a long time. I don't know,
it is. Yeah, it
not
should
too
be
sure.
like a couple months either
Yeah,
side of, a couple months after they're due.
but
But
I
I
I
don't know.
did see something. Oh, man, maybe this is a weird dream I had. I don't know. I watch a lot of crazy stuff in the evenings, but I saw a video the other day where people are now taking pieces of their skull out. Like they're removing
Eh?
small pieces of their skull for some reason. I can't remember what it's called, and I can't remember why they did it. But we'll leave that for your viewers to go and check out. It's so weird. Leave a comment.
Yeah, let
Let
us
us know
know
why
if you
people are
guys
removing
know
why they're
why
removing
people are
pieces of
doing
their
this.
skull. Yeah, I can't remember what it
People
was for.
people are brave, man. Medicine is wild. Like, who was the first person to be like, this is probably very factual and on Wikipedia, but who was the first person to be like, let me cut open a body
Lobotomy.
and like fix
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, oh, you got a
That's
headache? Let's just
wild.
drill a hole in your head.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
a
Oh, you got a cough, you better take
wild thing
cocaine.
to. Here's some cocaine
That's
for your
literally what
cough.
it was. You better have some cocaine about it. Yeah,
Yeah,
medicine's
like
come a long way.
it has, it has. I wonder how far it's still gonna go. We've got like, I was thinking when you said cutting a piece of your skull out, I actually thought of Neuralink first.
Mm.
Would
Yeah, that's
you?
also really interesting.
Would you? I think that they're doing like trials now, or they're speaking about doing trials now. Would you be part of the trial if
No.
you knew that there's a chance that it could like fix all your like
I
health issues and like mental
I don't know because I
stuff?
kind of feel like that's an important part of us, right? I feel like
Mm.
my depression and anxiety actually offers me like a lot more than it takes away. Like it also makes me human. It makes me like understand that I'm not the only person feeling this way. There's other people feeling this way, and maybe we can relate and we can chat and offer each other relief. I don't know, but I feel
Mm.
like if we remove all of these I don't know imperfections, then we're all the same. Like what's what I mean, that's so boring. Like
Yeah.
I was chatting to my domestic yesterday. I love her to death, Melody, and I said to her that she needs to start speaking to me in like an African language because I'm really trying my heart out. I'm on a 150-day streak on Duolingo. it,
Hey, that's
yeah, it's
awesome.
not good. Like I'm still way too shit scared to speak to anybody in Zulu, but
It's a big confidence thing, though. Hey, huge
it is.
confidence
It's
thing.
hectic. Yeah,
Like when I
because
was,
there's. Yeah, go
mm,
for it.
no, when like with Afrikaans, when I was in varsity, I would be much more confident if I'd had like a drink. And the same with Mandarin. When I was learning Mandarin, I would be too like shy to just speak it. As soon as I had a drink, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm fluent. Like, and it would
Were you, or were
somehow.
you just drunk?
I think it's like a confidence thing. It's like, hey, I know I've got it in my brain. Like,
Yeah,
I'm just gonna get it out there now because I'm not afraid, you know?
it
So
is
I
confidence.
think have a drink.
Just at
I'm
home,
kidding.
8 o'clock in the morning, looking after my son. Yeah, no, like
Don't
I
get up.
always do it in an Uber. On my way home with an Uber, like I'm normally taking an Uber because I've had a toot or two. Um,
Mm.
so then I'll say to like the Uber driver, listen, I'm learning Zulu, but I'm really bad, and you're allowed to laugh, but you're not allowed to get angry. And by the time we leave this car, you have to teach me something else. And they
Oh, I
have
love
the
that.
best time. They like love it.
Yeah.
And most of the time they're like, oh, your pronunciation's so good. The way that you like, this is really, really good. Where did you learn this? And I'm like, I sit speaking to myself the whole time because I'm so shit scared to say it anywhere else. But like my whole reason is like, I just want to speak to people in their native tongue. Like I want, people learn
100%.
English to speak to us, which is so ridiculous. Like, why can't we
Yeah.
do the same? Like, why can't we just
Yeah.
speak to somebody, even if we get things wrong? Like, I just want to make an effort, you know?
Yeah. And
But I
there's
don't want
this
to
thing
insult
that,
people. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to sound. I always feel like like I sound like I'm speaking down at people when I'm trying to say things.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's a tough one.
I think it's a really good form of respect actually to make that effort to learn someone's language and understand, you know, their language, their culture better. Like, you know, a lot of foreigners that go to Taiwan don't. A lot of foreigners do learn Mandarin, but a lot of them just don't. Like, they're just like, you know, I'm gonna speak English kind of thing. And it's like it opens up this whole world if you're able to speak even just like one other language. It completely opens up another world to you. Like I feel like I haven't done as well as I should in terms of like keeping up with my Mandarin and stuff. But it's just so good for your brain as well to be able to speak another language. It like opens just like opens the blinkers so much.
It really
Um
does. But it bridges so many
so
gaps.
exactly, because you
So
realize we don't
great.
all think the same about things. You can tell based on what things are called in different languages or how we phrase things in different languages, how people of that language were thinking at the time of its inception, right?
Oh,
Is
it's
inception
beautiful.
the word? I
Yeah,
just
I
went
mean, I know
blank.
what you're talking about, even if it's not the word. Let's not argue. Let's
Conception,
debate.
inception.
Yeah, Inception's right. Yeah,
Is it, yeah,
I think so.
inception.
Tell us in the
Inception, I want to say
comments.
conception. Let us know, guys. Okay, so Bum, obviously I'm gonna ask you to hit me with some Zulu.
Oof. Um, forgotten 150 days. No, I'm busy. Oh, some of my. What was my favorite thing? I was reading it the other day. Um, I don't know if it's Zulu, but my favorite word is ikolo. So
Ikolo.
that just means like I don't know, and I don't know if it's Zulu or if it's Xhosa, but my domestic taught it to me like a couple of years ago, and
Ikolo.
she's like, when
Okay.
anything happens and it's a funny situation, just turn and go, oh, ikolo. And I said that like at a Pick and Pay because this person
What?
kept on like she was waiting for another person to go fetch a thing and coming back, and then like the till ladies are going crazy, and I just turned to the person behind me, I'm like ikolo, and they're like yo, and they just pack out laughing, and it's just like oh, I don't know. I'm probably going to be corrected. Maybe I'm saying something that I don't know, but it gets a
A
it gets
good
a knee
yeah.
jerk reaction out of everybody, which is great.
Yeah. I know, I think Northern Sotho or Spedi is Akitsibi. Or Ankosho might be Zulu. Ankosho, Akitsibi. I don't know is a really good thing to be able to say in other
Yeah,
languages, right? Just I
it
don't know.
is. Yeah, there's so I've learned like a lot of like going to the shops and stuff. So myself and Wizzy were actually talking about this on our podcast the other day, and like talking about how um it's so hard to speak in another language without like you don't want to insult people, so you don't want to do it in what is called a black accent, right? Like I don't want to
Mm,
mock an accent, but sometimes you need the way that you enunciate words, and the
Yeah.
inflections and everything is really, really important. So it's like trying to find that balance pushes me away from talking about it at all. I also don't want to sound
Yeah.
like a white person saying sawabona, like that's oh sawa kunjani. Like no, I don't want to sound like that. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like it just whenever I'm asked to speak Zulu, I just freeze because I'm like I
Yeah.
don't want to like I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But
You
what is
feel
really
kind of
cool,
stuck with
yeah,
like
somewhere in
saying the
between,
wrong thing. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. But what is really nice is understanding what people are saying. So
Yeah.
like if I'm at the shops and then like I need something and then this person's speaking to somebody else, I can be like, no, 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 not that, this instead. And that's happened a couple of
Yes.
times. And then they're like, wait, do you understand it? And I was like, I do, but I'm not going to speak it. And they just
Yeah.
laugh. And there's
Yeah.
like so much, there's just so much respect. It's like just so nice to see. I don't know, like people light up when you celebrate their, like them, and their
Yes.
beliefs, their languages and stuff. It's so beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
And it's such
It
a beautiful
is
language.
flippin'
I wish I could
awesome.
speak, yeah, I wish I
Mm.
could speak Zulu. Like I wish I had Zulu instead of Afrikaans in high school.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
rather speak Xhosa than speaking English. Like to be
Yeah.
honest, I
Yeah.
feel like English is a very plain vanilla language. It's very
Yeah.
complex,
Yeah.
but there's
It
something
is
just
very
so beautiful
complex.
about our African languages. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, they're just. Whenever I hear people speaking, I'm like, there's so much emotion. There's so much like,
Yes.
it's just beautiful, man.
Yeah,
I
it
love it.
is. It is. Well,
I'm so
you
bad at
you
it.
you're gonna learn Zulu. You working towards it. I'm sure like a ton of people would be willing to like help you in some way with it. Um I'm looking forward to seeing the progress with it, really.
Gonna be way too scared to do anything. So
It's awesome. I'm stoked for you, man.
thanks.
Yeah.
And you, what are you with your Mandarin?
Yeah.
When are you gonna hit up Duolingo?
I've been
I
on
need to.
Duolingo. Actually, when I got to the UK about a month ago, I kind of stopped using it. I ideally, when I was in, so Duolingo was catching me up on a lot of stuff I'd forgotten because I haven't spoken Mandarin daily for about, when was I in Taiwan? Since 2016. So it's quite a while that I've actually been like using Mandarin, so a couple of things. I don't feel the same motivation because I'm like, when am I going to use this? Unless I get a job or start working with people who speak Mandarin,
Sure.
and need someone to be able to speak Mandarin. When am I actually going to use it? I also, like you say, you don't want to be insulting. My fear is that I incorrectly assume someone speaks Mandarin when they don't, and I want to speak it to them because I want to practice or whatever, but I don't want to be presumptuous.
It
So I
scares the
really,
hell out of me because we've got how
yeah,
many languages do we have here? And like, I don't want to make the
yeah,
assumption that everybody's just speaking Zulu. Like, there's
yeah,
so many
yeah,
words. There's so many words. Like,
yeah,
it's it's
you know,
like I'm not saying everything sounds the same, but as a very
yeah,
plain white bread human, as a white male, like
yeah,
it's very hard to distinguish between all of them. And like my domestic's helping me a lot. Oh, Melody, she's
yeah,
the best. She's like, no, that's not this thing. That's Sutu. And I'm like, okay.
yeah,
So like she's helping me to understand like the inflections and the sounds and things that give it away. Because
yeah,
that's what I want to
yeah.
understand more as well. Is like exactly what you say. I don't want to assume that somebody's speaking Zulu and then I come in there like, oh, Kunjani. How's it, man? Can I have some in Cinqua, some bread? Like I don't want to come in there and just be some complete troll. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want to understand what they're speaking and be able to speak in their language. And to be able to speak in somebody's language, you got to know what they're speaking.
yeah, yeah.
So I completely empathize with what you're talking about.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, I really need to do like, ideally I would do a language exchange thing where I have someone who wants to learn English and they speak Mandarin. I've had this before. It's like one of the methods I use to learn Mandarin, a language exchange partner
So
where
good.
they only speak English to me and I only speak Mandarin to them, and I can correct them on their English, they can correct me on my Mandarin. Um and we're not allowed to speak I'm not allowed to speak English, they're not allowed to speak Mandarin, kind of
I
thing,
love that because it's contextual learning. And
yeah,
contextual learning is the only way to learn a language, I think. Like Duolingo is great and stuff, but it doesn't teach you context. And
Yeah, yeah.
that's where
It
it
is
like it doesn't teach
great.
you the nuances, and it doesn't teach you
Yeah,
like the colloquialism and all of those things.
exactly.
Like I've learned from a person that kunjani is like saying how's it,
Yes,
instead of saying
yes.
unjani, kunjani is
Yes,
how's it, so that's what people are
exactly.
saying more. So I'm like, oh, cool. Like
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
a very simple conversation with somebody.
Yeah,
So like learning
exactly.
those little things, contextual learning. Oh, I love that. Exchanging language. It's so
Yeah,
great.
like
What
it
a cool
is. It's
currency.
it is so cool. It's so great. Yeah, and this is literally like an unlocked skill. Now you can speak this other language to an extent. People always ask me like how fluent am I in Afrikaans and Mandarin, for example. I don't know how to answer that question because I make mistakes in English, so I feel like I'm not fluent in English.
I hear you.
But at the same time, beginner is kind of like you're still thinking very hard about what you're saying. Like my explanation for my skills in like Afrikaans and Mandarin is that I can explain around anything. So if I don't have the
Mm.
vocabulary, I can explain what it is in the language. Like if I don't
Yeah,
know
so
what
like
a blanket is, I can say the thing you sleep with on your bed kind of thing in the language.
yeah. So I mean it's conversational, right? Like I feel like conversational levels that's the first prize for me. Like that's what I want
Yeah,
to learn is just
exactly.
conversational language, and then we can always revert back to our own languages after that and like try and piece it together. But I just
Yeah.
want to bridge the gap and show some respect and having a conversation with
Yes.
somebody in
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. Show some respect. I also
Yeah.
wondered like why people were so, especially particularly English speakers who only speak English, are very hesitant to learn another language. And I think that, and this is with respect, I know there are lots of English people learning other languages that are bilingual, trilingual. Um, I think it's because a lot of people think learning another language is difficult, is very difficult, right? And maybe it is like how your brain functions, the whole left brain, right brain kind of thing. Maybe it is how your brain functions. But I think something that like really helped me, if I can, like in my very limited experience with, I'm not like a polyglot, let's say that. Something that helped me is just believing that it is actually possible for your brain to learn this whole other language. Like if you can learn how to speak from a child, from a baby, you can definitely learn to speak another language, right?
Mm.
There'll be challenges and
Yeah.
stuff, but just the belief that it is possible makes it 1,000 times easier.
Yeah, definitely. Mindset's a lot. Um, so my wife's a speech therapist, and
Yes, of
with
course,
like
yeah.
a lot of the stuff behind it, as well as like the older you get, the harder it is to learn a lesson, like or learn language, even language
Mm,
skills. Like it's really hard to get rid of a lisp when a kid's 8 years old, but when they're like two, it's a lot easier. And it's the same with
mm-hmm.
language. Like language, the older you get, the harder it is to learn because there's so much more that we've absorbed. I kind of see it as like pushing something else to bring something in, but it's not
Yeah,
quite like that. I think our brains are more than capable, but it's a muscle, right? We need to keep on training it. I know that
yeah.
if like I just go into like I keep on speaking about Duolingo like it's the gold standard, but if I skip a couple of days and then go back on, like I feel this like I'm far behind again and I have to
Yeah,
like go
yeah,
back and then relearn things. So it's one of those things where like if you dedicate 15 minutes a day to learning a new
yeah,
language, you will, guaranteed.
yeah,
And if you've
yeah.
got the confidence to go out there and say to somebody, listen, my what I'm going to try and speak in a language, but I want you to be critical of how I'm saying things. Like,
Mm,
if it's offensive, tell me. Like, I want to know
yeah,
these things, but please help me because I want to learn this thing. Like, if you
yeah,
show your willingness and you show your confidence, I feel like you're rock solid.
yeah. And share your intentions. I think that's something also like you say like I'm trying to learn because I want to, for various reasons, but I also want to respect, that outside of English there are other languages, and I want to show you that respect kind of thing. And I think that goes like miles. That goes, a long way with people.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. Because you're not learning
Yeah.
it just for your own ego.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like another
exactly.
motive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, so I want to. actually just tell you this quickly. This is not really relevant to the podcast, but if you ever wanted to try Riverside, it's so good. I am like blown away with the software. It's so good. Like you can do magic clips and stuff. The recording quality is really good.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've
just
heard it's really good.
yeah, before I forget to tell you that.
Thank
I
you. And if you use code ChloeZA right now,
not sponsored. No, because I paid for a year, so I'm like, I better use this. If I don't, I'm giving you my my login so you can try it.
that's really good because it's gonna make
Um,
you do it. It's good.
yeah, yeah. It was a slight investment. I didn't consider the exchange rates. I was like,
Whoops.
180 pounds. That's like 2,000 rand. It was like it was like 4,000 rand.
Yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
the
It's,
message come through from my bank. I was like, I was like,
your bank's like, hey, we're borrowing you a couple of grand here if you want. You need to pay us back, but this seems pretty
yeah, no.
important.
I actually like knifed a little bit. So I was like, oh no, what have I done? Okay, then I was like, it's actually great software. It's going to encourage
It
me to
is.
use it for the whole year. So it's a blessing in disguise.
No,
It's
it
good.
is good. When you spend
Yeah.
money, this is something that I teach a lot to tech startups and like people that are starting up businesses because they always go, oh, I'm going to give out my products for free because if I put
Mm,
like my products up for free, I can get feedback. And I always tell them, even if you charge them 50 Rand, you're going to get critical feedback because as soon as it's a human mind thing, it's like, as soon as I exchange money for things, I'm going to get the
it's
most
more
out of that. And
valuable.
you're going to get
Yeah.
the most out of me as well because I'm going to tell you whether your product's good or not. If it's free,
Yeah.
how can I criticize it? So with
Yeah.
you buying into Riverside now, you're going to get your money's worth. 4 grand, okay,
Yeah.
cool. You're going to make sure that you get at least 4,000 rands worth out of this now. So like, it's a good thing that I know it's a lot of money in the heart dropped, yeah, but I guarantee you're going to get some good value out of this. I think
Yeah.
what you're doing is
Thanks.
really
Thanks,
cool.
Tom. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I wanted to ask you what your biggest lesson from last year was. I don't think I sent this to you before we chatted, so I don't know if you have
That's
anything
okay.
offhand on hand.
My biggest lesson.
English is hard.
Um, I think my biggest lesson is just, like, I just think of that guy when I say like tough times never last sort of thing. But
Demi,
I
Demi.
think like, yeah, yeah. I think like everybody had a really tough year last year, but everybody survived. And I think it just taught me that, we will get through things. Like if we look at the past couple of years, man, our entire lives we've witnessed some truly horrific things,
Yeah.
and we've always just kind of made it through, put a smile on our face when we're together, everything's okay. So I think, yeah, I think last year it was about proving that we can survive.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever our circumstances are, we just get through to the other side and we make do, and things do get better. You just got to wait long enough, you just got to endure. I think it's more about endurance
Yeah.
than anything.
Yeah.
And yourself, can I ask you that as well, or are you answering this every time
Sure.
you have a podcast?
No, no. I've actually only asked you and Jacques yesterday. Jacques is the co-CEO of Flume, a digital
Oh, nice.
agency. Yeah. Yeah, you are the only two that I've asked. But no, I don't really have an answer for that. I think there were certain things that were reiterated to me, like honestly, learn to like harness your thinking. I don't think I absolutely have not learned to do that, but I understand how important it is to harness your thinking and train yourself to think in a certain way. I think it was also like reiterated to me that I need to keep, like, as you kind of get older, to keep your mind open as much as possible. Like, you will always still be surprised by something. You don't know everything. You haven't experienced all the things you're going to experience. So just to kind of, I guess, a way to summarize it is like, I need to continue to train my brain,
Mm.
um, to think a certain way, to focus on certain things, to understand the difference between like monkey mind and controlled thinking. I don't know
Mm.
if that makes any sense or if it's just like
No, it
jargon
does.
now,
That's really
but
good.
yeah, yeah.
It's really good. I think also something that I learned a lot last year was to find my own thinking as well. Like to
Mhm.
go, there was times where I was challenged so much by people that really didn't matter. They were just there to cause rubbish, like there to
Mhm.
kind of bring me down. And it's one of those things where people climb on heads. And I put my head out there for people to climb on for so long.
Mhm.
And in doing that, I listened to them too much. And I
Yeah.
think by the end of the year, I was kind of like, after I had been, I was like, that's not the people that are saying those things aren't really speaking about me. Maybe they're just, I don't know, projecting. But
Yeah.
I think it was really important for me to realize, I said it towards the end of last year that I'm tired of spending so much good time on cuck people,
Mhm.
and it's not,
Mhm.
it's like people that are crap to me. Like they're not terrible people. I don't think anybody's terrible. I think just,
Yeah.
not everybody's each other's target audience, and people need to kind of learn that.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
not everybody has to be the best of mates. Like there's respect without having to interact. But
Yeah.
I think that's where I got to, where I was like, I want to spend my time on good people.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I've gone into 2024 with, is like I spend way too much time, trying to make terrible people better,
Mhm.
or try to convince somebody that their opinion of me is not right. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like it really doesn't matter. And as
Yeah.
soon as that starts affecting the way that you think about yourself, you've gone way too far. Like pull
Yeah.
back. You don't need those kind of influences. It's
Yeah.
like we are talking about
No.
with the algorithms. If you're feeding
Yeah.
the wrong people, who are you making hungry? Like if you are not feeding yourself, you're going to be hungry. If you're not feeding your right
Yeah.
audience and you're trying to tailor your content to one type of person that's always critical of it,
Yeah.
you're not creating content for the people that you want to. It's so
I
important.
actually, yeah, it's so important. You just kind of reminded me of this thing I was watching. I wish I could credit the content creator, but he was like, do people ever just think that something is not for them? Like, if I, as an example, he's like, if I release a steak pie recipe and you don't eat steak, maybe it's not for you. Maybe
It's
it's
so
not for
true,
you. It's not content for you.
but
Like,
it's so
people are
true.
like, but I don't eat steak. Now what? Hey?
Yeah.
What you gonna do?
It's so true, though. It's so true. I don't wear red. So what am I going to do with it? I don't wear a red dress. Like,
don't
okay, but then
don't do it.
don't. Yeah, just don't. Like, it's okay. Yeah, I don't know. I think everybody thinks that they are the main character in everybody's
That's
story, right?
that's the thing,
And that's
yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
problem. Sometimes you got to realize that you're the NPC,
Yeah.
and that's it. Like
Yeah.
you are actually an NPC in everybody else's stories, and you are your own main character. Like leave it that way. Not everybody's creating stuff just for you,
Yeah.
but people have that philosophy. I think if there are content creators, I'm sure there's a lot that watch this podcast, like
Yeah.
understand that you have a target market, and people that don't like your content aren't part of that. You don't need
Yeah,
to
it's
cater to them. As soon
okay.
as you cater to that
Yeah.
person, you neglect the people you created content for.
Yeah, yeah,
Like just
exactly. Yeah.
go your separate ways. As soon as you
Yeah.
start catering to that one person, you attract more people like that. Like I talk about
Yeah.
replicating audience a lot. I always say, like, look in your viewership and find the person that you want to replicate and go and celebrate the person. Tell the person, listen, every time you come into my stream, it lightens up the mood. I love the energy you bring.
Mhm.
I just want to find out more about you, your consumption habits. How can I make us better for you? Because I want to
Yeah.
replicate you. I want 75 views in my chat,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
75 views or whatever it is on your content. If you're doing that to people that you don't want to cater towards, those are the people you're going to replicate. Don't feed the
Exactly.
energy towards the people you don't want to replicate. Like
Yeah.
it sounds so simple, but we get so drawn. We're like, oh, that person unfollowed me, or that person
Yeah.
doesn't come through to my streams. Yeah, but
Yeah,
who's in your
like it's
stream?
fine. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
fine as
you
long
know
as
what I mean.
yeah, that's the thing. It's like if you post something, let's say on Instagram, and you are confident in what you're posting for yourself, you like happy, whatever, and you lose followers, it's actually better because you're kind of like refining your audience more
Oh,
to
yeah.
what you want to post and like what you want to share of yourself and stuff. It's perfect.
Always. I love it when people lose followers. They come
Mm,
there like, oh, I lost 100 followers. I'm like, great. They're like, what do
Yeah.
you mean? I'm like, you're refining your audience. You're finding people that will actually engage with your content. Because
Yeah.
if you got 20,000 people, but you're getting 10 likes on your post, and you've actually got 10 true followers.
Yeah, yeah,
Like the
exactly.
other
Yeah.
1990, they do nothing. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it's like you got to work towards the people that are engaging with your content, the people that like your content. Stop chasing those followers, because
Yeah.
like that's a number that everybody pushes up in the beginning, and then nobody interacts with those people anymore.
Yeah,
It's a number
yeah.
that doesn't matter. Like, who
Exactly.
enjoys your content? Find out about them. Find
Yeah.
out when they're on social media, so you can post at the time that's most beneficial to people like them. And
Yeah.
remember that if that person's consuming more of your content, the platform goes, this person is keeping this type of content consumer on the platform. So we're going to find more people like that at
Yeah.
this time. And then they show your
Yeah.
content to the more people like it. So be very intentional about who you're trying to grow.
Exactly. Exactly.
Don't pay attention to, to those other
Yeah.
people.
Don't
There's a lot of
lose
them.
don't lose followers being inauthentic though. Like you try to please certain
Yes.
people and then you like lose. You're like, oh,
I only
lose
want
followers over it.
I only want celebrities. No.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, but yeah, enjoy your journey.
Yeah, yeah. Just it needs to be fun for you. It needs to be good
Yeah, it
for
has
you,
to.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, big
Um,
time.
okay, so the last thing I wanted to do was something a little bit fun. So far you're my longest podcast, of course. We knew this was gonna happen, didn't we?
Standard.
Um yeah, so I wanted to do like a bit of a game. I have not practiced this, so if you think it's unfair that I'm presenting the
Sure.
game, um, it's not. I haven't practiced. Okay, we're just gonna do an ABC of countries. I said gaming initially, but I
Okay,
think countries is a bit harder. So
probably.
yeah, so we'll start with you can. Well, I'll start because I
Okay.
introduced the game. So Argentina,
So now I go B here.
yeah.
Belgium,
Canada,
Denmark,
England,
Finland,
Ghana.
Haiti,
Nice. India.
Jamaica,
Nice. Um, Kenya.
Lithuania.
Yo, let's go. LM, right? That's M after L.
Yes.
Um, M. M.
Yeah,
It's M.
I know a few. Yeah. There's a country in Africa
Mauritius.
that's cool. Yeah.
Mozambique, yeah. Okay.
Nigeria.
Oh. I want to say Oslo, but that's not a country. Um, Oceania.
I feel like going first
Oceans.
is so much tougher.
Wait,
Like,
this is a hard. Okay. Oh. Olympia. No. Oh my gosh. What begins
what
with an
is one
O?
with an O? I feel like there's like viewers that are sitting there going, "Oh, you
Yeah.
guys are
Like,
so
oh.
stupid." We know. We
Yeah. We
know.
know the country. Why can't you just say this one that we know? Um.
Oh, why is O so?
Osaka. No.
Why is O so
Osaka.
tough?
Okay. Listen. I'm gonna need to Google this. Sorry.
Yeah, I think search that one because
Country
you
beginning
can't
with
even
O.
hand it over.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yes. Oman.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought of any other though. Are there other examples? Is
It
it the only
only
one in the
says
entire
Oman.
world?
It
It's
only
the only
says
one in the
Oman.
entire world. That's really interesting for your next quiz night, guys. Just remember
Yeah. Good to know. Oman is a tough one.
that is
Okay.
really tough. Yeah. Okay, Peru.
Okay. P is it Q? Hey. Qatar. Qatar
Yeah. Rwanda.
is Slovakia.
Tunisia.
What is STU? United States of America.
Okay.
All right.
Venezuela.
Nice.
You got the tough
W.
ones.
I know.
V
W.
U V W. Yeah.
I keep
Oh
wanting
no,
to say
I
like
got the hardest one
states or
next.
cities. Wisconsin.
Yeah, they always float to the top.
West
What's it? W.
Indies? Is West Indies a country?
Yes, that
Yeah.
is. Now I got X. Is there anything with X?
X-ray. Xylophone.
Xylophone, yeah. Everything was really clean up until that point.
I'm gonna Google it quickly. X,
I
guys.
don't. It will probably be like no. I don't think there is. Is there?
Okay. So there's Xinjiang, Uyghur, which is an autonomous region in China.
But is that okay? I guess it's got its own rules and
Yeah,
diplomatic
so
process and
it's not like quite a
Xinjiang,
country, but yeah, Xinjiang. There's also,
Xinjiang.
I
Okay,
don't know how to pronounce this, but there's a tiny
just do your best
island
attempt.
called, okay,
Okay, starts
Jam,
with an O.
Xamayca. It's like, I want to say Jamaica.
Jamaica, man. Yeah, no, that's weird. Okay, we'll just go with Xinyan.
Yeah, it's
Is
like
that
actually
right?
there
Yeah.
aren't any countries, but they are all like autonomous regions and an island. So yeah.
Okay, so I'm still winning. Okay.
Okay, X,
Why?
Y. Why? Why?
They're currently
Yeah.
being bombed because they're blocking off.
Yemen.
Yes, and then Zambia. Those is
Oh,
easy,
nice.
man. Apart from X, X and
So,
O.
surprisingly, quite a few countries starting with a Z, which is like
A
a
lot
tough
actually.
letter. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay,
but
good to
not
know.
enough with X's. If we find any new countries,
Yeah,
we
we
have
must
to
call
name them with
them.
O's and X's.
We should call them X-ray. Yeah,
Or Xylophone
or
Island.
xylophone. Yeah, Xyland.
Silent.
Xyland phone.
That's so great.
Chum. Thank you so much for joining me. Yeah, it is early days, so might be a little technically rough to start out, but thank you for being here for it. Always so nice chatting to you. That's why we chat for so long. Yeah, and I wish you. I mean, I'll see you around, but I wish you the best for the rest of the year. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
and you, Chloe, thank you so much for this. And again, I think you're like such a ridiculously good podcast host. So I'm glad that you're doing this for yourself now as well.
yeah. Thank
And I'm
you.
proud of you. I'm proud of your move and everything that you achieve in that side. And yeah, I'm excited to see what you do this year.
Thanks, Chum.